Welcome, Aries rising signs of the zodiac. It's your astrologer cosmic girl bringing you your horoscope for the month of June 2026 in this video. Thank you so much for joining me here. I trust you're doing well. Okay, now there's a lot of astrological information coming your way in this month's video with your horoscope because there's so much going on with planetary alignments, planets changing, the lunations, and in particular for the Aries rising signs, you have a lot going on. So let's talk about why before we get into the astrology in a chronological order for our 6th calendar month of the year. So you have Saturn and Neptune in your natal first house and Chiron. So Neptune will be in your first house of Aries for 14 years, quite a long stay. And Saturn's in your first house of Aries for 2.5 years, quite a long stay. So these planets are in your natal first house of your identity, your body, your appearance, new beginnings, and your sense of self, the ability to self-direct and take independent action. So Neptune is an outer generational planet. Neptune is a really good planet for helping you focus on the bigger picture in regards to your dreams for your future. What's your fantasy world look like? Pick up that genie bottle on the beach, rub it and see if you can get that genie to grant you any wishes kind of planet. This is Neptune. So you've got plenty of time, if you will, with Neptune in the first house, helping you see the forest for the trees on your ability to make your own nirvana a reality. Really quite positive. Saturn in the first house of Aries, very different. Saturn is a planet of time, patience. Saturn is about structure, responsibility, and burden. Saturn is very patient, but Saturn is wise and sage. Saturn can be a teacher, but can teach us lessons the hard way if we choose to go the wrong path. So, what Saturn brings to the first house is the ability to see roadblocks and avoid them before we get stuck in a rabbit hole. So, Saturn will give you the ability to know the long game and ask you, do you have the energy to keep up with the momentum? But Saturn is carving you into a diamond. Diamonds are forever. So don't be in a rush when it comes to your appearance, your body, your identity, new beginnings, anything that you want to take action on. Look before you leap. Saturn's going to remind you of the realities of the long game. And are you up to task? Okay. But you also have Chiron in your first house. Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron is the teacher. What is he teaching us? What has he been teaching you as an Aries rising sign? Chiron isn't gentle. Chiron shows our soft underbelly, reveals our faults as humans. I'm sorry. Yep, we are human. But Chiron can also transform past pain and things that have been difficult into something new that we can educate other people to learn from, say, our mistakes or our pitfalls. Or you yourself are starting to identify where you lose yourself, lose self control, and how damaging it can be to your self esteem and your identity. You're sort of onto it now because Chiron's at 29 degrees of Aries in the natal first house. And happy days this month, Chiron shifts out of your natal first house. That's a big deal, Aries rising signs. It's moving into Taurus, your natal second house. For a brief while, it will be retrograding back into the first house of Aries. So you're not completely done with Chiron in the first house, but you certainly have a lot of lived, learned experience of Chiron, of harsh lessons of being a human. That is for sure. Okay, your ruling planet Mars is in Taurus in the month of June. And Taurus is Venus's sign of rulership in your natal second house. So Venus is about love, relationships, beauty, art, dance, value. Venus is benefic, so she loves to bring us good things. And in Taurus, where your ruling planet Mars is, you can get the good things. All you got to do is be patient. You don't have to be aggressive. You get more bees with honey if you're picking up what I'm putting down with your ruling planet Mars in Venus' sign of rulership, Taurus. So your natal second house is topically having you concerned with your appearance, your body, what you value, what you love, your resources, your livelihood, and self expression. So, this transit of your ruling planet Mars in Venus' sign of rulership for the month of June is positive. Slow down. Know the long game. This is the magic, if you will, of Mars in Taurus, because Mars is in detriment in Venus' sign of rulership. Why? Because Venus is about peace and your ruling planet is about aggressive action. Nothing wrong with that. But the invitation here is, do you really have to aggressively pursue everything? You can get things that you want. Maybe just go a different angle and be more calm, patient, and measured. And you will get your needs met. But you're building a relationship with yourself and self development with Mars in the second house of Taurus in the month of June, which is quite lovely. So there's a lot going on. Neptune in the first house for 14 years, Saturn in the first house for 2.5 years, Chiron in the first house for a little while, and Mars in the second house of Taurus. So there's a lot of action and food for thought and the ability to engage with anything of your own free will, that is for sure. But with the planetary transits, what we really want to focus in on when we're listening to our horoscopes is the transit of our ruling planet Mars. So it's in Taurus in his second house. Slow down, stop and smell the roses. Yes, it's okay to look before you leap, be patient and deliberate, because we are talking about Taurus when we fixate on something that we love and value. But make sure it is of value, what you love. Make sure what you focus on satiates you and can do for quite some time when it comes to your appearance, self love, self value, self esteem, your livelihood, your assets, and your resources. Pretty important stuff, Aries rising signs, with your astrology indeed. So the month of June, my gosh, so much information coming your way in this video. Grab a cuppa, grab a bourbon, put your earpods in, go for a walk, go for a jog, go for a drive. You do you, however you digest your astrological horoscopes each month. But know this, it's an extra long video. You're welcome, Aries rising signs. Let's get into it. On the 1st of June, all the way up until August 9, Mercury will be in Cancer. So for the whole month, Mercury will be in your natal fourth house. What to expect with this transit? So the natal fourth house is primarily concerned about privacy and rest. It's your home, it's your family, it's your ancestry, it's your homeland. So Mercury, the planet of travel, commerce, information, movement, communication, is moving in that natal fourth house of Cancer for quite some time. Now, it's an extra long stay for Mercury in Cancer because at the end of June, Mercury will be beginning its second retrograde phase of 2026. So there just could be a lot of talk, thoughts, exchanges of communication within your home environment, your family, and could be really active for you in as much as your ability to rest and relax at the end of the day. Mercury in the fourth house of Cancer, because Mercury is such an active planet. think, oh, I can't get to sleep. I'm tossing, I'm turning, I'm thinking too much. Maybe you're battling with your feelings and your emotions on what you want to communicate. Maybe you're trying to figure out how to get something off your chest. Could be quite nuanced and challenging, to be transparent, with this transit of Mercury in Cancer in your fourth house from the 1st of June to August 9. Nothing you can't handle, just might be a little bit ugh, annoying at times because Mercury can be quite contentious. On the 2nd, we have the Sun in Gemini in your natal third house of community and communication, sextiling Saturn in Aries in your natal first house of self. I don't like it at all. Why? Because I think it's going to be really hard for anyone to sell a product of optimism to Aries rising signs. I think of people coming to the door and going, "Hey, would you like to donate?" And you're just going, "Will you really just go away? I've got so much responsibility. I've got no time for this." Or people are trying to share happy news or excitement, and for some reason, you're not all enthusiastic. I think of feigned appearances, entertaining a thought maybe, or entertaining someone's happiness, but it's not authentic. Yeah, I don't like it on the 2nd. Yeah, for some reason, something's off here with the Sun in Gemini sextiling Saturn in Aries on the 2nd of June. On the 4th, we have Mercury in Cancer square Neptune in Aries, and Mercury is also trining the North Node in Pisces. Okay, so it's Mercury that's really quite active on the 4th of June. Yeah, this could be a little bit of bubble bursting, a little bit of a truth serum coming out here on the 4th of June that doesn't make us feel all warm and fuzzy. It makes us feel very possibly nervous or a little bit emotionally rattled on the 4th regarding information or communication coming from your home or family or your domestic zone. But Mercury trining the North Node in Pisces, maybe this is a necessary, difficult situation that you may be caught up in on the 4th that urges you to address something that has been unaddressed regarding self expression. Could be about communication, paperwork, finances, or even an argument. Yeah, pretty tricky on the 4th again. On the 9th of June, I think it's a reverberation of the 4th of June. Mercury in Cancer in your fourth house of home and family is squaring Saturn in Aries in the house of self. Uh, Getting some difficult news, getting some difficult communication, or the need to talk up and communicate about things that are left unaddressed or unsaid. This is like the need to address the elephant in the room. Maybe it's uncomfortable. You could be feeling a little bit like a fish out of water on the 9th of June. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound very positive, but what I am getting with the planetary alignments, especially Mercury in Cancer for Aries rising signs, is feelings and emotions with your family, your home life, domestic zone, what's going on in your environment that is local and personal to you. There's could be some challenges here that need to be overcome or at least acknowledged and sorted out, like sorting out kinks in the road that emotionally stop progression. And the 9th, I think, can be another day of, geez, it's hard to talk or communicate on the 9th, like a jarring day. Not, I don't like it in particular. Again, the 9th. The next day on the 10th, we have Venus in Cancer, conjunct Jupiter in Cancer at 25 degrees. Happy dance for home and family, relationships, people in your immediate space. This is good news. Have your phone ready. Make sure it's charged because someone wants to tell you something quite positive. It might be really quite optimistic on the 10th when Venus conjuncts Jupiter. And that's quite welcome considering the start of the month. The first 10 days is pretty challenging, I think, for Aries rising signs in particular. But on the 10th, something sort of gets illuminated, talked about, sorted out, or addressed when Venus in Cancer conjuncts Jupiter in Cancer at 25 degrees on the 10th. On the 13th, we see Venus move into Leo until July 9. Beautiful Venus in Leo, passionately pursuing her heart's desire. I love what I love, and that's the end of it. And in your fifth house of joy and pleasure, you'll have no problems in distinguishing and establishing what you are driven towards with this transit. This can be about self expression, music, art, dance, pursuing romance, pursuing the spotlight. Venus in Leo from the 13th of May to July 9. Uplifting transit. If you have been sort of sitting on the sidelines, Venus invites you to throw your hat in the ring in as much as sign up for that dance class, go to that audition, go to that interview, take a risk, be bold. Venus in Leo rewards people that bet on themselves. Really positive. Venus in Leo from the 13th of May to July 9. On the 15th, we have a new moon in Gemini at 24 degrees in your natal third house of communication and community. New moon, new ways of emotionally expressing yourself in the community or with communication. You're starting to feel a little bit more optimistic about possibly promoting what you have to say. I think of things like sales, online promotions. You may also feel a little bit more optimistic about moving out into the community. I think of things like maybe working with animal shelters, charity work. And the reason I say that is because Mercury is the ruling planet of Gemini. And it's in Cancer, the moon sign, where the moon in the new moon phase is in Gemini, Mercury's sign of rulership. So, do you want to nurture something in your community? Work in a shelter, do some rehabilitation in the community. Maybe you want to donate your time with a charity. You may also feel the need to start a new writing project about your home or your family, or do some research, begin some research, or maybe even a new home or a new community. You might be getting new neighbors or want to move to a new neighborhood. I mean, sky's the limit. I don't know every Aries rising sign's natal chart, but check where you have 24 degrees of Gemini, the third house. Do you have a moon there or the sun there? This is a brand new beginning in that third house of community and communication. But Mercury being the ruler of the moon in the fourth house of home, family, and your private zone, something that ticks your boxes that motivates you to open up emotionally. Could be quite positive on the 15th with a new moon in Gemini at 24 degrees. No matter how you slice it, you're open to new ways of thinking, and that can extend out into the community and how you communicate. I really like the 16th of June. Venus in Leo is sextiling Uranus in Gemini. She's also trining Neptune in Aries. So Venus is the star of the day. Oh my goodness, that was a really, really loud motorbike outside my window. Apologies in advance if you heard that, because bloody nearly deafened me. Okay, so sorry. Venus in Leo, sextile Uranus in Gemini. So Venus is in your house of desire and self-expression and love, and she's sextiling Uranus in Gemini. At the Gemini, communication, thoughts, community, self-expression. So easy to have a sudden burst of expression of the heart. I think like the phone call that you never thought was coming is coming. The conversation that you thought would never happen lights you up and makes you feel all joyous with Venus, sextile Uranus and Gemini. Really quite positive. And Venus is also trining Neptune in Aries. So maybe this also gets you feeling all fantasy like and dreamy like, and you're all lost in the sauce and juice. This feels like love bombing, like something comes out of the blue, Venus sextile Uranus, that makes you feel all inspired and optimistic about your future, or your goals that you're setting for yourself. I think it's quite lovely on the 16th for very positive news, but could be quite out of the blue and a little bit avant-garde, shall we say. Venus and Uranus getting together. Okay, I'm laughing because I think sometimes planetary alignments and the astrology and the wisdom of planets in transits is quite comical and a little bit cruel, because after the 16th, which is such a great day in my astrological book for Aries rising signs, the next day on the 17th, Venus in Leo opposes retrograde Pluto in Aquarius. So Venus, you're all happy, you're in love. Yes, I'm optimistic. This is amazing. Everything's going well. And then Venus opposes retrograde Pluto in Aquarius, where this could be some pushback or a reality check coming from maybe your future goals. Like you're all excited, but then you're like, oh shit, that's right. I really wanted to do that. Maybe, oh no, maybe I've looked before I leapt. Or maybe a friend says, let's hash this out before you lose your head. Let me just tell you about the realities. And maybe you don't want to hear it. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe there is a professional ally that is connected to your career or your public stature or name in some capacity, gives you a little bit of a tinge of vinegar. It's just a difficult day on the 17th. It may all feel so exciting on the 16th, and the 17th, it's like reality sets in. Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. This is the truth of the situation. Have a think about it, because there's something you might be missing. This is like a lost in translation kind of moment on the 16th, but on the 17th, something comes in that's more realistic, tempered, and measured. And I don't know how much you're going to like it on the 17th with Venus opposing retrograde Pluto in Aquarius. Good luck with that. Okay, moving on to the 19th, we have Mercury in Cancer, sextiling Mars in Taurus. Okay, so this is the first alignment that you're getting with another planet, meaning you're getting some information, because Mercury is sextiling Mars, which means you're easily accessing information. So Mercury is directly connecting to you from your fourth house of home and family and things that you deal with in private, it's the fourth house. And Mercury is the messenger. So you're getting some intel, if you will, and it can be about your livelihood, a discussion about your values, like discrepancies or nuances between family and the self, or your ability to move freely and do things independently versus family commitments or obligations or their grievances or nuances. But either way, on the 19th, you're getting some sort of direct information. And information, as we know, can be helpful. Depends the perspective and angle we come from when we receive it on the 19th, with Mercury handing you something. On the 20th, we see Chiron leave Aries, your natal first house, and move into Taurus, your natal second house, where your ruling planet Mars is currently transiting. So Chiron will be in Taurus, your second house, from the 20th of June till September 12th. Then it'll retrograde back into your first house. So you're nearly done. So what does this mean? Pressure's off. You know what you know. You have leveled up. You're an adult. You're not a child. You have self-mastery. You now have enough scars and bruises and war paint for people to see. And now you can relax and just embody and be okay with knowing that you're not perfect and that you've got a few battle scars. But in Taurus, you're grounding all of those life lessons into something tangible moving forward. So you're going to get a sneak peek on how you can apply your lived learned experiences from the 20th of June to September 12th in a more passive, practical application that can help you keep on advancing and evolving as a human being. And I think that's quite positive. So enjoy Chiron out of the first house, Aries rising signs, from the 20th of June till September 12th. On the 21st, we see the sun move into Cancer, bringing up the summer solstice for the northern hemisphere and the winter solstice for the southern hemisphere. Sun will be in Cancer for 4 weeks in your home, family, and private part of your natal chart for 4 weeks. So, what is the sun in Cancer all about? Well, the sun is in the moon sign. So, the sun gets really quite energized by feelings and emotions. This can be quite the transit. Very emotional. We're focused in on compassion and nurturing, making sure everyone's safe and secure, including the self and everyone around us, kind of 4 week transit. It's quite lovely with the sun in the fourth house of Cancer for 4 weeks. What I really appreciate about astrology, that's what got me into it, was understanding planets in transits and how they can actually tell you the astro weather ahead. So the reason I say that is because the 25th of June can be quite challenging with the planetary alignments. Venus in Leo is trining Saturn in Aries, the Sun in Cancer is squaring Neptune in Aries, and Pluto in Aquarius is sextiling Neptune in Aries. This day, from 20,000 foot view, when I look at these planetary alignments, this could be a lot of going down memory lane, melancholy, feeling nostalgic, maybe missing someone. It's easy to have your bubble burst. It feels like a sobering, kind of dense day emotionally on the 25th with all of these planetary alignments. Just get ready. There might be a need for tissues to deal with issues kind of day. All right, on the 27th, we have Mars in Taurus. Your ruling planet is sextiling Jupiter in Cancer. Not bad at all. So this is a closing sextile. So this has been a year's coming, if you will. Mars is sextiling Jupiter. All right. So when your ruling planet Mars hooks up with Jupiter, this is taking decisive action towards emotional fulfillment. What do you need? What satiates you? What makes you feel safe, secure? Are your needs being met? It'll be easy to talk about, communicate on this day about such things. It will also be easy to close out something that needs to be released like a pressure valve. I think of things like the house is finally sold, or you're finally moving, or you're finally getting over a family challenge. You finally overcome an internal emotional hurdle. Beautiful day on the 27th, quite healing and cathartic. Okay, Aries rising signs, on the 28th, your ruling planet Mars shifts out of Taurus and moves into Gemini, Mercury's sign of rulership, until August 11. Fascinating. Mars is in Gemini, acceleration time. So the third house is the house of community and communication. So your focus, if you will, is looking at the options and the need for diversity and variety and stimulation that keeps you engaged on the daily. So you'll be proactive with this transit with Mars in Gemini. Lots of thoughts, lots of activities, errands, phone calls, emails, transactions, lots of travel, lots of movement when your ruling planet Mars is in Gemini from the 28th of June to August 11. Go time. On the 29th, we have a full moon in Capricorn at 8 degrees in your natal 10th house, Aries rising signs. So let's talk about this before we get into Mercury's retrograde in Cancer, which is occurring on the same day at this full moon. Very interesting, astrologically at least. Okay. So the full moon in Capricorn, so the moon's in detriment. So we have our feelings, our emotions, and the environment. We're not really feeling on top of the world. And this is in your 10th house. This is to do with your ambitions, it's your career, your professional industry, and to do with authority. Authority figures, people that have a little bit of weight over us, if you will. I think of things like governments, solicitors, lawyers, etc. This is authority, the tax man. So when we have a full moon in the 10th house in Capricorn, when it means like, ugh, and it's at 8 degrees on the 29th of June, I think what's happening here is the moon shining on your 10th house saying there's a lot more to achieve and you're going to have to double down on your efforts to overcome an adversity. And that can be quite challenging. Now, the moon is the ruler of Cancer, the natal fourth house of home and family and your private zone, your deep feelings and emotions, your deep roots, the foundational part of your chart. So, what I'm getting for Aries rising signs is you're possibly starting to see the realities and maybe the harsh, sobering realities, if you will, of just how far you've got to go before you have self sufficiency or a grasp over your emotional landscapes or the ability to feel safe and secure within your home or your family or with even in yourself or your body. It could be pretty challenging, Aries rising signs, to be frank, with this full moon in Capricorn at 8 degrees in the natal 10th house. Saturn is the ruling planet of Capricorn, and Saturn is in Aries rising signs first house at 14 degrees. So we know Saturn's about, you know, time and effort and discipline, and it's gonna, you need to take the long road. Don't take shortcuts. So this can feel burdensome, like, oh my gosh, I have such a long way to go. I'm not really feeling like I'm progressing, but you are. So maybe this is you uh, possibly being hard on yourself or hard on others. And maybe it's becoming really clear that there needs to be a loosening up, if you will. Everything's hard. Life is hard. No one didn't tell us that when we come in. We grew up with looking at, you know, Disney movies and going, "Oh, life is a bliss bomb," and we all know now it's all bullshit. And this could be coming into focus on the 29th. Reality, very sobering, very real, on just how far you've got to go. How far have you come in emotional fulfillment regarding your home and your family and your self progression and the ability to support yourself? And if you are feeling it, full moon in the 10th house, or maybe even seen by people in the public or people in power are really like laboring on you or saying, oh, you haven't really got it all together, it can be tough. But self criticism is only good if you take action on righting a wrong about something that you dropped the ball on. So just be kind to yourself on the 29th with the full moon in Capricorn at 8 degrees in your natal 10th house, okay? Now, Mercury is going retrograde in Cancer, second retrograde of the year for Mercury, but it is in Cancer in the fourth house. Won't go direct until the 23rd of July. So now Mercury's back spinning. So Mercury is retrograding, which means Mercury is consistently showing you where there's challenges with communication and travel, exchanges of documents and paperwork, and our thought processes with home, family, and what we deal with in private. Mercury's going to keep on making it really obvious, just like the full moon in Capricorn. You've got some stuff to sort out, Aries rising signs, and that's okay. But Mercury can have us overthinking, overlooping, and feeling like, oh my God, this old chestnut, hamster wheel, I can't stop thinking about this. Then that's your intuition saying you need to speak, you need to address things that you dropped the ball on, that you're not looking at, that you're not facing head on. Mercury asking you big questions, tough questions. It is about home and family. your sense of safety and security, the foundational part of your life. Pretty big and important retrograde period, Aries rising signs. You've got this. All you've got to do is face things head on. And I think it's starting to become really obvious with the full moon on the 29th, with it being in Capricorn at 8 degrees. The moon is the ruler of the fourth house, Cancer, where Mercury is retrograding. We end the month of June with some very optimistic news. On the 30th, Jupiter leaves Cancer, its sign of exaltation, and moves into Leo until July 26, 2027. This is huge. Jupiter hasn't been in Leo for 12 years. This is certainly going to be popcorn worthy individually and collectively. That is for sure. But what does this transit mean for Aries rising signs? With Jupiter in the fifth house of joy and pleasure. Well, Jupiter, we need to talk about the archetypal meaning of Jupiter. It's in the sun sign of rulership, Leo. Okay, so let's talk about Jupiter first. So, Jupiter, and I'm not being a teacher here, but it's important to talk about this. Jupiter is the teacher, the mentor. Jupiter is the law creator, creates order out of chaos. When I say order out of chaos, I'll give you a very simple explanation. It's been a massive Mardi Gras, a successful event. The mess is all over the place at the end of the parade. People have shown their base human needs and the way they need to express themselves. And Jupiter goes, my goodness, the roadworks were wrong. The traffic controllers had no idea. There was too many holes in the ground and people fell over and broke their legs. So Jupiter comes in and goes, let's clean it all up. Now let's order council organization to make the next year's event of Mardi Gras run more smoothly. That's the easiest way for me to practically apply the archetypal meaning of Jupiter, meaning creating order out of chaos. Jupiter is abundant, the greater benefic. Jupiter is life-giving, optimistic, gregarious, fun, jovial. Jupiter shows us how to have fun and reminds us how to have fun. We can go over the top. We can be a little bit too much, but how bad is it? Can be problemsome. If you have inflated egos or you're out of control, you might need to be checked a little bit. But Jupiter always gives us an opportunity to learn. But you got to learn through life experience. And Jupiter's really good at that. And Jupiter in Leo, such a positive transit. And for Aries rising signs, Leo is a fixed fire yang sign. So it's about fixating on what you're passionate about, aggressively pursuing your passions. You have a target. You're not going to miss it. You are just going to be like a bulldog, if you will. I want what I want. Venus in Leo, very much the same. The lesser benefic. I want what I want and I'm going to get it. I'm going to have it. Jupiter, you can think of Jupiter as Venus times 1,000. Jupiter's more so. I want it more. Fixates on it. I need it. I want it. Give it to me. Give it. And House of Joy and Pleasure, of things that light you up from the inside, that make you feel childlike, enthusiastic, fun, put a smile on your face. Don't forget, life is here to be enjoyed. This is the fifth house. The fifth house is where we extend from the fourth house, where we know how to bring experiences, people, places, things, and environments that enrich us, that make our family and our sense of self feel more fulfilled. This is the fifth house where Jupiter will be transiting in Leo from the 30th of June until the 26th of July, 2027. So the fifth house topically is connected to children, sex, fertility, romance, self-expression. It's the house of risk and gambling, recreation, and leisure, fun. Connect the dots, Aries rising signs. Jupiter's in Venus's house of good fortune. Good fortune. Jupiter in Leo. So what's happening here for you? What you can capitalize on and expand on, Jupiter, and have great life experiences through is remembering to enjoy yourself. All work and no play. That full moon in Capricorn would have shown you that quite clearly. I don't think it's been a particularly easy month for Aries rising signs. But Jupiter in Leo says, you got to go bigger. You have got to extend. If you've been playing it cool, you haven't gone for the auditions, you haven't gone to the job interview, if you haven't put your skin in the game, if you haven't taken a risk on speed dating, internet dating, going on a date, if you haven't had children and you're not a parent yet and you've been sitting back and waiting, Jupiter says, what are you waiting for? Go, do it. You have to live. You have to put yourself in the ring. Jupiter's going to say, what about fun? Saturn in the first house. Saturn says you've got responsibilities, you've got burdens, you don't go dropping the ball, and that's fine. But Jupiter in the fifth house is trining Saturn and Neptune in the first house. So there's going to be a boost here for Aries rising signs with Jupiter in the fifth house of Leo. So let's go a little bit deeper. Jupiter is the ruling planet of Sagittarius, your natal ninth house. This is the house of God, religion, spirituality, your values and your truth. It's a house of higher education, academia, long distance travel, international travel, foreign affairs and correspondence, different cultures, different people, places, spaces and things and environments. It's the house of education, teaching and learning. This is Jupiter's house of rulership, Sagittarius, your natal ninth house. Jupiter is also the ruler of Pisces, your natal 12th house, of hidden enemies, isolation and solitude, the house of self-undoing, the house of where we lose control of the self. So ruler of the 12th and the 9th house, Jupiter, is in the 5th house. What you love, what you fixate on, what you're passionate about is important because this is life force. This is life. Life be in it. So the ruler of the 9th in the 5th trining for a year. Look at any planets or points in your natal chart, Aries rising signs. Do you have any planets in Leo? Any planets in Sagittarius? They're trining for a year. Whole sign trine, and there will be exact trines between those planets in your natal chart. Very important for you to look at your natal chart with this transit. So Jupiter in the 5th will be trining the 9th house, Sagittarius, and Jupiter is the ruling planet of Sagittarius. Easy flowing connection, a trine. A trine is a Jupiterian aspect, harmony, flow, unity. So you can hypothesize, say you're sitting in the 5th house, of things that you need to extend on to make you feel warm, satiated, safe, secure, happy and joyful. Cancer, I feel like I am good. 4th house, I feel foundationally and emotionally well. I've got it together. Jupiter moves into the 5th house and says, well, now you need to extend on that. What do you need to fixate on and keep the fire going to make sure that you are always consistently feeling safe, secure, satiated, nurtured, fulfilled? Well, it's through the 5th house of self-expression, romance, children, sex, fertility, leisure, recreation, taking a risk, gambling. Take a gamble. Don't be shy, kind of transit. Big transit, trining the 9th house. Do you need to self-express your beliefs, your spirituality, your religious views in a public forum. Maybe you want to travel, be an advocate and an ambassador for children. It's a house of children where Jupiter's transiting, trining the ninth house. Maybe you want to educate with children, be a teacher. Maybe you want to learn. Maybe your children want to travel and learn or be teachers, for example. Just an example. I don't know every rising sign, Aries rising signs natal chart. I don't know. You know you. You're the expert in your life. But if you get the gist, the house of joy and pleasure, trining the ninth house, Jupiter's house of rulership, Sagittarius. Go big, go hard. Sagittarius is all about goal setting, experience. Sagittarius is all about getting out there. The traveler of the zodiac, Sagittarius, very much, as well as Cancer, actually. So this transit's big, important, powerful. But we also know Jupiter's the ruler of the 12th house. So what you fixate on, what you love, what you're passionate about, hidden enemies, self-undoing, isolation and solitude, where we lose control. Don't gamble too much. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't take on too much responsibility, because why? It could isolate you. I think of going viral is one thing, but then it anchors you every day to the internet and commits you to being on camera and showing up for your uh, sponsors, for example, things like that. Good, but a double-edged sword kind of thing. Hidden enemies could be coming from the 5th house. 12th house, Pisces. Hidden enemies, ruler of the 12th in the 5th, hidden enemies. Maybe kids could have a bit of trouble with the law. I'm not suggesting this for all. This is not a Debbie Downer, just putting it out there. Some kids of Aries rising signs may find themselves stuck in a hospital. Maybe they have accidents, they get in trouble with the law, they've got in over their head, and you might need to help them. Jupiter creating order out of chaos. Maybe you need to be more responsible, step up to the plate and go, hey, come on, we need to sort this out, or you need to help them. Jupiter, the ruler of the 12th in the 5th of joy and pleasure, represented by losing yourself. This could be like ego inflation, being too full of yourself. So don't go announcing something that you're not educated in, or don't advertise anything without a certificate or accreditation behind you. You know, that sort of thing, because you may find yourself in hot water if you don't have evidence, if you will, of some sort of your credibility in a public capacity, that sort of thing. Pretty big. If you want to really delve into this transit for you, Aries rising signs, just contact me. My email that I provide at the end of the video and on my homepage channel. And we'll have a Zoom meeting and we'll look in your natal chart and we'll get right into it. I mean, the variables are huge because I'm doing a Jupiter in transit Leo for all Aries rising signs of the zodiac. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty egoic task in of itself, is it not? So yeah, big transit, fun, exciting, optimistic. You can go further than you have done in regards to sex, excitement, movement, having some wins, some big rewards publicly. But Leo needs an audience, so you really might be overextending yourself. I think of marketing, publishing, advertising. Yeah, really big, fun, optimistic. You won't forget this year. Reflect back to the last time Jupiter was in Leo. That was between, I think, May, June 2014 to May, June 2015. That'll give you a hint what was going on for you personally in that time frame, because that was the last time Jupiter was in Leo. For me personally, I'm an Aries rising sign. Oversharing here, couldn't have been happier in the sack if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Enjoy Jupiter transiting Leo in your fifth house of joy and pleasure from the 30th of June till July 26, 2027. Wowza, what a horoscope, hey, Aries rising signs. If you've been drinking coffee, then you'd be jumping out of your skin now and you really are possibly dusting and cleaning your house frenetically. If you've been drinking, well, you're probably asleep by now. So, however you listen to the horoscope, it's been a long one. I appreciate that. But such a big month, the month of June 2026. I trust you have yourself a fabulous month. If you want to connect with me, I can be contacted at the email beingcosmicgirl101 at protonmail.com. Till next time, Aries rising signs of the zodiac, remember, stay cosmic.